How you doing, everybody out there? I'm talking online today with Clyde Evans Jr. I met Clyde in 2000 and I met you in 2001.
Perhaps.
A long time ago.
Dance festival.
Yeah, the Bates Dance
Yeah.
Festival
Yeah.
in Maine in the US.
Yeah.
And I was kind of blown away just by his generosity and the way that he was able to teach and communicate the foundation, the ingredients of hip hop dance, of breaking, of popping, of the locking. So we worked together on a show that we produced in 2003 called Hip Hop Story. Okay, so Clyde,
Yeah.
can you tell people a little bit about who you are and what you do?
So currently, I'm a professor at Drexel University in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I assumed that position from another dance team by the name of Montel Durden, and who had taken the path to kind of delve in to the history of more of the hip hop dances, the jazz dances, and African dances in terms of how it relates to hip hop. My journey began in the 80s when I first arrived in the States in 81. There was a dance show on television called Dancing on Air. And it was a local dance show at the time. My sister used to watch it, and I was really young, but that kind of introduced me to the social dances, as it were, in the area that I was in, because it was just a local show. That show then ended up winning syndication, and it went into syndication here in the United States, and then was a nationwide show called Dance Party USA. And then obviously as a national show, it had such a great reach and used to a lot of stars nationally, Tupac, I don't know, Ultra Nate, Fushnikins, all these different rap artists and hip hop artists, dance artists, whatever, came through. Recording artists is what they were. Yeah. They all came through, and at the time for us, the aspirations were just to be able to background dance for maybe one of these artists in some capacity someday. That's where I met Rennie Harris, who was floor producing that show. And he at the time had just gotten kind of fed up with the way dancers were treated as background dance artists. So he wanted to do hip hop in the theater, something I didn't identify with at all, but I trusted because I knew that he knew a little bit more about dance than what I did. So my first introduction with him and performing with him professionally was actually at a 20,000 capacity audience theater where I met Mark Wahlberg, Will Smith. All these people were performing. It was huge. I didn't realize it was going to be that huge, but once I got that taste, that was it. That's all I wanted to do. And so I began to kind of in the performance dance arts. And so that began the journey. And I danced with him, helped him found his company in 92. And I left in 99, started my own company, Chosen Dance. And really locally in Philadelphia said, hey, no one understands the way I dance. I'd never get a job like you dancing all over the place. And I said, you know what, I'll teach you exactly all that I know about it. And so I began this quest to kind of teach everyone that wanted to learn from the clubs to be able to present their dance on the concert stage. And so as opportunities came by, I was able to kind of plug those dancers in to the situations like hip concerts in Philadelphia, and give those dancers an opportunity and a chance that they otherwise may not have had because they just didn't know how to go about it. Is that it required teaching. And so the more who did not know what they were doing, the more I learned about what it is that I did and how to communicate it. So at Drexel, I teach a lot of people who have never danced ever. And so again, the education, the level of understanding about movement and the things that I was doing, a lot of it was just revealing and kind of building my understanding of the dance that I did. In 96, I got a chance to go to Africa with Rennie Harris and study a little bit of education, West African dance, and I learned a lot and saw a lot about things that I thought we started, but was already going on over there. So, you know, all that was just kind of awakening to me in terms of what I was doing, the gravity of what I was doing. And I just kind of wanted to pass that on as the need presented itself. I didn't think I was going to be a teacher, but as I saw other people instruct, and I saw holes in their communication and understanding of what it is that they were doing, and I was able to kind of fill that in. I did that for Rennie a lot. In fact, he would leave me behind everywhere we went, all different universities and all different appointments that we had as performers. Say, hey, Clyde, can you stay back here a week and teach this master class or teach these couple classes while we move forward, and then you'll meet up with us at the next stop. And so in doing that, again, it just kind of helped me understand and be able to communicate and teach, and so it's been a blast.
Cool. Okay, why do you do what you do? What is it? What's your why?
It's my purpose, like when I'm not doing it, and I try at times to kind of get away from it. I'm always like, I don't want to teach, I want to perform more, or I want to return to television or whatever. And really they're not mutually exclusive. I can do both. I have an opportunity now to do a little bit of that on television in the fall. And so I'm looking to take that opportunity to do that a little bit more, but really it's my purpose. When I'm not doing it, I see the need. I look up YouTube videos sometimes and things, and people are like, hey, I'm trying to learn this move and I can't find any good videos online. And I look at the tutorials and I think, man, these things are crap. They're just, the information is just not there. And sure, people who already have an understanding would be able to pick it up. People who can kind of look at dance and decipher what is going on movement wise, or what the teacher is trying to communicate, can pick it up. But for the novice, they can't. They end up getting hurt or whatever. So I feel obligated to step in because I have the information. So it's my purpose. That's why I do it.
So I remember when you were working over here in London,
yeah,
you were talking about specific rhythms of hip hop dance. I don't know if you remember what you were talking, and when you were kind of explaining to Marcus Flitz and Hussein. And I think when we were doing external workshops as well, that you were just talking about, that you have the bounce. I don't know. Do you remember that? Can you elaborate on what you were saying?
I don't remember specifically, but I could try.
Give it a go.
Just in terms of the fundamentals of it, like I feel that most hip hop dances, there are complexities to it, but in terms of the amount of movements, I find that most hip hop dances are maybe 2 to 4 steps long at most. But there are all these little nuances in there that if you are not, you can very well miss it and say, hey, you can just do this by doing that. Just nod your head, just bend your knees, and there's so much more to it than that. Okay. Having a deeper understanding of the history and all that stuff helps. And with Monsell, that's why in him studying jazz dance, American jazz, he talked to me about the boxer's bounce, or what they refer to as the boxer's bounce, which is this constant little pulse that people do. Sometimes you can keep timing your shoulders just by bouncing like this on the balls of your feet, and it gives you greater movement, range of movement, because you can now travel with this bounce. But some people see it that way. They're like, how are you floating from this side to that side? And once you identify that, then it's like, oh, okay, now we understand what's going on. And all the different times may either use that or may not use that. So you have popping, locking, breaking, hip hop, and house. And those being the 5 major forms, at least here in America, and I would say even the world. You have to also understand the social dances that surrounded that. If you can understand those dances, then you get an understanding of the actual form that you're studying or trying to pick up. And because it's not that era, because we're not in the locking era or the popping era, or even the breaking era, in that it's not 1983 or 1968 or 1970, to understand all those things and how they come together can be extremely challenging. Yeah. To the, hey, I just want to learn hip hop, the beginner, even the intermediate, and sometimes even the advanced, you have to have this understanding in order for it to look good. Mm-hmm. And so what I find a lot is that people will say, hey, I don't look like you. And that's really just saying, I don't have the understanding that you have about this form that we're doing and that we're executing. So there's all these different nuances to all those different forms, all those different dances, although the steps the very steps itself that create the dance are not long themselves.